I'm Sam, and today you're on a 2-minute tour of the Double Reed Studio here at the School of Music. With me is Bill. Hey, Bill.
Hey, Sam. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Bassoon instructor. Okay, Jeff, oboe player, and Kirsten, bassoon player. Hey. So, Double Reed Studio, what are we talking about?
Well, we distinguish between single reed instruments like the clarinet and the saxophone, and double reed instruments like the oboe and the bassoon.
Okay.
Here I have a clarinet, which is played with a single reed. It's this very simple piece of wood that gets tied to the mouthpiece, and by blowing through that, you produce the sound on the clarinet.
Okay.
Same way on the saxophone.
And that's versus the double reed instrument.
Versus the double reed instrument. You can see this is a very simple piece of wood. Double reed instruments don't have a mouthpiece, so we tie two pieces of wood together to make its own kind of mouthpiece, and that's why it's called a double reed. And you can see that it's a much more complex piece of work than this very simple reed.
So we're looking factory versus handmade.
Yeah, these single reeds can be made in a factory very easily by machine, but the double reeds really need to be made by hand, and it takes a lot of time and craftsmanship.
Okay. So where do we start making the double reeds?
Well, all reeds start from bamboo, basically. This variety of bamboo called Arundo donax, it's grown in the south of France. We have small tubes for the oboe, larger tubes for the bassoon.
Okay.
And we split them into pieces and then use a machine called a gouger. Jeff, you have a gouger there, I think.
Yep, this is the gouger.
What does that do?
You take a piece of cane like this and you sit it into the gouger, which I have set up here, and you run it through the cane, like so.
And you see that it's removing the inside of the cane so that you're left with just a very thin piece of bark afterwards. That's an oboe stick, and here's a bassoon cane stick that's been put through a gouger just like that.
So we're whittling it down and down and down.
Exactly. We cut it to shape. We use a machine called a profiler to cut off some of the outside bark and to give us this nice silhouette that more closely approximates a finished reed. And eventually, this will get folded in half and tied together with a piece of wire. And then it's rounded out on a mandrel so that we can put that on the end of the bassoon.
So Jeff, you have essentially the first step of the process.
Right, this is the first step, and you get a piece like this, and you scrape down the middle, and eventually this weakens the inside of the cane, and then you fold it in half.
And Kirsten, you have an almost finished reed.
Yes, I'm just putting wire on right now, and the next step will just be to cut off the tip, and then I can play it.
How long have you been working on that one?
About a few hours.
Okay. And how long will that reed last you?
Hopefully a month.
Okay. So how much time do you spend making versus playing?
Probably half and half, I'd say.
Sam, in addition to the oboe and bassoon, there are other instruments that also use double reeds. Over here I have the pieces of an English horn, which is basically a larger version of the oboe.
Okay.
And a little bit further over, we have the contrabassoon, which is a larger version of the bassoon.
All right.
It's an octave lower than the bassoon, and this instrument plays the lowest notes in a symphony orchestra.
I hear it's got a nickname.
We call it the Beast. It's a little large and unwieldy.
Fair enough. And finally, over here in our corner.
This is our double reed tree, where a lot of our reeds have gone to die, I suppose. Some of these reeds never quite made it up to playing quality, and others had long and fruitful lives as reeds, and now they've gone on to reed heaven.
Well, Bill, thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure, Sam.
This has been Sam on a 2-minute tour of the Double Reed Studio here in the music school.